The morning of May 27, 1960 began like any other in Turkey. The sun rose over the minarets of Istanbul and the bustling streets of Ankara, the nation's capital. But this was not an ordinary day. Before most people had their first cup of tea, the deep rumble of military tanks echoed through the cities. Soldiers took control of key government buildings, radio stations, and major intersections. The familiar sounds of daily life were replaced by a sudden tense silence, broken only by military announcements. This was the moment Turkey's democratic journey was violently interrupted. It was the country's first military coup, an event that would cast a long dark shadow over its political landscape for decades to come, setting a dangerous precedent for future interventions. This was not just a simple change of leadership, it was a fundamental shakeup of the entire system. The coup signaled the end of a 10-year period of rule by the Democrat Party, a party that had once been celebrated as the champion of the people. The military, which had long seen itself as the guardian of the secular republic founded by Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, had decided that the government had gone too far. They believed they were acting to save the country from authoritarianism and economic collapse. For the citizens of Turkey, it was a moment of deep confusion and uncertainty. They woke up to find their elected leaders under arrest and their future in the hands of a military junta they did not choose. The importance of this event cannot be overstated. It was the first time the Turkish armed forces stepped in to directly overthrow a democratically elected government. This action created a playbook for future coups in 1971, 1980, and 1997. Each intervention was justified by the military as a necessary step to restore order and protect the principles of the republic. However, these actions also deeply scarred Turkish society, creating lasting divisions between secularists and conservatives, the military and civilian politicians. The 1960 coup introduced a cycle of political instability that would take generations to address, leaving a legacy of mistrust that continues to influence Turkish politics to this day. Understanding the 1960 coup is essential to understanding modern Turkey. The events of that day and the period that followed are not just historical footnotes, they are part of the nation's living memory. The trials, the executions, and the creation of a new constitution all shaped the political and social fabric of the country. The questions raised in 1960 about democracy, the role of the military, and the nature of the state are still being debated in Turkey today. It was a turning point that forced the nation to confront difficult truths about its identity and its path forward, setting the stage for a long and often painful struggle for a stable, inclusive democracy. The story of the 1960 coup begins a decade earlier with the rise of the Democrat Party, or DP. In 1950,